Okay, so this video is going to be about installing and testing out the features of Linux Lite 4.6. And I've got the website pulled up here, and I have to say, kind of just from the clicking around that I've done so far, um, it is Ubuntu based, and it sort of seems like they are trying to make it operate or look like Windows 10 in some ways. And they're trying to make it easy for people that may want to switch from Windows to Linux as a daily driver, as a desktop operating system. We're not talking about servers here. But for those that want to maybe try something different, if they're tired of Microsoft and Windows 10's updates, problems that they may be having with it, seems like they're gearing it for those types of people. I have to say that, I mean, this would definitely not be the first time that I've seen an operating system that was, a Windows killer or a Microsoft killer. This is going to really, in my opinion, be a lot like a lot of the older operating systems that in back in the day would be, oh, this is going to be something that will really take off and replace Windows. And of course, nothing ever did do that. But anyway, I say all that to say it has a lot of really cool features. If we go to the features list here, it's got I think logos. That's kind of funny, but we can look at some screenshots here. And it is customizable, and you see the login screen. They're sort of giving you that Windows feel, that Windows 10 feel, and I haven't even installed it yet. I haven't tried it yet, but I do want to sort of preface this with, I've sort of seen this before. I think everyone probably has, if you've dealt with Linux at all in the past. Different configurations, overlays, backgrounds, desktop themes, that type of thing that will, and in some cases, do a really good job of making the desktop appear like it is Windows. And back in the day, it was making it look like Windows 98, and then Windows XP and Windows 7. And I will say that some of those themes did a fantastic job. Sometimes you could fake out some of your friends pretty easily, and they wouldn't even know that they were using Linux instead of Windows until they tried to run some sort of Windows native program that obviously wouldn't work unless it was being done in Wine or something like that could actually run versions of Microsoft Office and some other things like that. But anyway, that's the website, linuxliteos.com, if you want to go check that out. There's a lot more than what I just showed you there on their website, but we're going to go ahead. I've already downloaded the 64-bit ISO. I don't even know if they offer it in anything other than 64-bit. Let's go to downloads here. It basically just gives us the requirements here. It looks like all they're really offering is a 64-bit ISO, which makes sense. I mean, preferred specs: 1.5 gigahertz processor, a gig of RAM, 20 gigs of storage, and a VGA, DVI, or HDMI screen of 1366 by 768. And you can burn the ISO to a DVD, or put this on a USB drive and install from there if you want. All right, so I've already downloaded the ISO here. It's on my desktop, and I've just started creating the virtual machine that this will run on. And I'm just going to do, a 40 gig disk here when it comes time to do that. I'm sort of overshooting on the RAM a little bit, but that's fine. And you know, minimum was 20 or recommended was 20, and we'll just go ahead and do 40 just in case we go crazy with installing some really cool stuff and we just really, really love this operating system, which you never know. Who knows? All right, so we'll go to settings and go to storage, and we see the CD-ROM drive is empty, so we need to pick our file here, and desktop Linux Lite open. Okay, so then we'll go to system and make sure that booting from optical is the first thing that'll happen, which it is. And that's probably about it. Actually, let's take a look at some of these other things, because since this is a desktop, you know, like when we're doing a pfSense install or, you know, something like that, Ubuntu server or whatever, we're not really cared about, you know, audio. In fact, we disable that, and we disable pretty much all the other fun features that VirtualBox can do, because we're using it in a server environment. We don't really need that. But since this is a desktop, you know, it'd be neat to try out the capability of Linux Lite to use the audio hardware here. So also network, we are going to bridge from Wi-Fi so that this will show up basically as another device on the network. We're not going to share any folders, user interface. Not exactly sure. We're going to leave all that default right now. Well, that's fine. We're going to go with this. Okay. All right. So let's start it. And what do we have here? Start Linux Lite or install Linux Lite. I think we should install it. We'll probably get it. I was going to say we would probably get better performance, but it's not even running on a CD anyway. So it's probably going to be about the same. We'll go through the install process and actually install this or pretend like this is a real install on something that we would use. And, you know, over the years, there have been times that I've actually used Linux as my primary desktop. And, you know, I've had sort of mixed, you know, experiences with that. But, you know, for the most part, I would say they were good. It just came down to the maintenance of the operating system and compatibility with drivers and hardware and that type of thing. I had an HP laptop that that I ran Linux on, and I can't even remember the what distro it was, but okay, let's go ahead and English. I don't want to read the release notes. That's fine. English. Download updates. That sounds good. Install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware. Sure, why not? Okay, so yes, let's use logical volume management, because that would be, it says it allows, you know, taking snapshots, and that's one thing that I don't, that I haven't used before was time shift, I think is one of the features that they talked about here. So we'll do that. And yeah, let's go ahead and try the encryption. We'll encrypt the new Linux installation for security. Choose a security key. Oh boy. Okay. And we will not overwrite empty disk space. That basically means it's going to go through the empty space on this partition or this disk that we're installing to, and basically make sure that there's nothing there. But this isn't a secure install. We're just playing around here, so we'll skip that for now. But if you were, worried about, ultra security, you would probably want to check that box there and let the install take a long, long time, but it would be more secure. And that looks good. And let me see if I can make this window bigger. Will it resize? Okay, Chicago. Your name, Linux Lite. Your computer's name, Linux Lite VirtualBox. Linux Lite can be the username. And we'll put a password in. Okay. So far, so good. Everything seems to be pretty smooth and straightforward. Welcome. Okay. So looks like we have a little slideshow here while the install is happening, just sort of going through some of the cool things about Linux Lite. And they're basically saying right here that it's free for everyone. It works on older hardware. What else? Ooh, a theme selector, light or dark theme. I love that. I'm glad it includes that. It's pretty cool. What does that mean? Choose either a light or dark theme after a fresh install of Linux Lite. So do you have to choose once and then it installs it that way? Hopefully not. Let's see. Okay, give us opinions, give us input. That's cool. And wow, the little icon that reminds me of the texting app on Android. So Firefox, Thunderbird. Thunderbird, you'll use that instead of Outlook. Dropbox, that's cool. Okay. LibreOffice. Basically, at this point in this day and age, if you have a lot of like open office documents or whatever, that would probably be fine. But honestly, I would just recommend, if you do run a Linux desktop, maybe you should just go ahead and use Google Docs or something like that. It's way more cross-platform capable and has the online collaboration and stuff like that. And the cool thing about Google Docs is it doesn't really matter what everyone's operating system is that's using or collaborating on those things with you. It'll just work. It's been a while since I've used Linux as a desktop though, and I'm sort of wondering if Google Chrome works on Linux anymore. So we'll have to check that out for sure. Steam for Linux, that's pretty cool. 11,000 games. Interesting. Okay, so this is saying sort of what I mentioned earlier about Wine. It says when you install Wine via Lite software, you can install a variety of compatible Windows applications in Linux Lite. So they probably have made, since I've last used it, they've probably made some enhancements and improvements as far as Wine goes. But I do remember, this will tell you how long ago it was that I used Wine on Linux. Was, I believe, the version of Microsoft Office that you could get to work on Linux was Office 2003. I don't know if 2007 was out yet or was coming out, but basically 2003 was still a respectable version of Office to be running. So you know, that might be something that if you really are dedicated to Microsoft Office apps, I don't know what version will actually run with Wine, but we can check on that and see. But from my experience before, it worked, and it worked pretty well. But you know, there were some games and stuff that also were supported on Wine. But again, my problems really were more with, you know, even if you can run that on Wine, are the drivers there, you know, to utilize the GPU, for example, and to use the video card natively without some sort of, you know, virtual craziness going on that would basically cut out the hardware acceleration. And if you're not a big gamer on PCs, then that's probably not a problem for you. This is continuing on here. It says configuring hardware. It's talking about updates. You basically click on menu, settings, Lite upgrade to automatically upgrade to the newest available version of Linux Lite. So that sounds interesting. Pretty cool. We may have to come back and do another video of the updating of Linux Lite, since this is probably going to install the latest version, I would imagine. But we'll give it a go. And we'll just see. Running dpkg. Okay. I feel like we're getting pretty close. Okay, says I need to restart now, and I'll click restart. And maybe once we get into the desktop, we'll get a higher res. Please remove the installation medium. Okay. Let's see. Remove the disk from the virtual drive. Press enter. That's interesting. Okay, so before we boot, it wants to know the passphrase for the encryption on the disk, which I'm trying to... I was going to say I'm trying to click into that window, but I don't think you have to. I think you just start typing. Okay, so we have unlocked the drive, and now we should be able to continue on. And again, see if I can expand this a little bit. Linux Lite. Okay, that's an interesting background. Okay, welcome to Linux Lite. So, all right, we will click install updates. I want my password again. And you know, I don't know how long this is going to take, so there may be some downtime here, and you may want to skip forward in the video. I don't know how much editing of this video that I'll do. I usually don't do very much, if any. That's just sort of the way this channel rolls at this point. But I would imagine there's not too many updates on a clean install. So update now. And luckily, we have a fairly fast internet connection to download this stuff on. Okay. And you can see a lot of, a lot of packages are referencing Ubuntu because this is built on Ubuntu, which is good. Ubuntu is a very well supported operating system, so no problems there. Now, like if it were me and I had only ever used Windows and had maybe just dabbled around in the Linux world a little bit, and I was seriously looking into this to move away from Windows, this would obviously be a lot different than what you're normally going to see in a Windows update, as far as telling you exactly what is going on and the versions and where it's getting things and that type of thing. With Windows, it's sort of like just a progress bar that you really don't have any idea if it's accurate or not. Most of the time it's not. And it basically just says, hey, we're doing stuff, we're installing things, and don't touch your computer. So obviously this is a much different approach, or this would look a lot different than what you would normally be used to seeing if you were primarily a Windows user doing this for the first time. Not that that's a bad thing, but it is different for sure. I see, already in the bottom right, it's got the time, and it looks like the little notification button here, which, that's pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of Windows 10, along with having the menu down here. I see the start button. That's interesting. I mean, that looks a lot like the Windows 10 layout, which is good. All right, so we'll go back to here. All right, so this is taking a little bit longer than I thought, but let's go ahead and explore. This should be the terminal. Very cool. What do we have? Desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, and videos. Wow. That is pretty much folder for folder, name for name, straight out of Windows 10. So, that's pretty neat. Let's see. Let's browse. Let's browse around here. I think that's what is that? Restore the minimize windows. Ah, okay. Cool. And this might be the browse or the folder. There we go. The file manager. Okay. Interesting. Trash. File system. So this is basically showing you the root. And so basically, if you are coming from a Windows environment, in the Linux world, the / here is basically the equivalent of the C:/ on Windows, if C is the root drive letter, which it usually is. So like this is pretty cool. Inside of home, we're gonna have our folder here, and they've really got things laid out very similarly. I wish this update wasn't taking so long. So I like this button here. That's pretty neat. Linux Lite updates completed successfully. Yeah, let's take a look at the log, see what happened here. Looks like we got some new Linux headers. New headers are always fun. Got to have new headers. All right, cool. And you can save that or quit. Don't really care enough to save that. Updates require reboot. Sure. That's interesting. Rebooting after applying updates is very Windows-like, so they're nailing it. I kind of have a feeling that we don't have to reboot, but we're just so used to doing that in Windows that it's like, let's just throw it in there just for fun. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay. I like that it shows the computer name here. That is very cool. When it comes to, you know, trouble tickets, support calls, help desk, that type of thing, having this at the login screen would be very handy. So that's cool that out of the box, it's there. I do like the login screen as well. Maybe we'll have to do a video of trying to tie this in to an Active Directory domain. That would be interesting. Or even a Samba Active Directory domain. I don't know if they'll have the capability to do that or not. We'll have to see. All right, here, this is the one, okay, updates, those are boring, whatever. Install drivers. This is the one that I really, okay. Additional drivers. I wonder what it's going to find. I really want this to not be so small. This device is not working. Continue using a manually installed driver. Why is that not working? Let's see. Can we do insert guest edition CD? We may just need to install the yeah, let's just see how this works. Wow, okay. I wonder. Surely that won't work. All right, so I'm going to stop this because I feel like first I need to do the... Uh-oh, there we go. I feel like first I need to go ahead and get these drivers installed. So I'm trying to do this like if I didn't know command line stuff. Okay. That's pretty cool that I just double clicked on it and it's running. If your system simply has the remains of a version. Excuse me. Okay. So, I mean, I'm pretty impressed that in the file manager, just double clicking on the autorun.sh, pretty much seems like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, installing the guest editions. I didn't have to pull up the terminal and, you know, CD into the path and run the script. Pretty cool. And I mean, I know it's possible to set Linux up to do that, you know, anyway. It's not like this is the only operating system that is capable of doing that, but you know, out of the box like that's pretty cool. And you know, anything that that you see here that I'm like, oh wow, that's neat. You know, keep in mind that it's been a while since I've run Linux as a desktop. So you know, I primarily use MacOS and Windows devices, and then Android phones and iOS tablets. So I pretty much use everything, which I think is sort of interesting that each hardware platform, I want a different operating system for each of those. But that's just the way that it works out. I prefer an Android phone, an iOS iPad for tablet, and macOS for computer. So, okay, press return to close this window. All right. So, I'm assuming everything installed. Can I right click on this and eject it? I can. Okay, that's pretty cool. We'll go back here to the file manager, and actually let's go back here to all right, before we get into that, we have a notification. No, we don't. Can I change screen resolution? Whoa. All right, so let's go back here. No. Wait, what? No, I don't want to do updates. I want to do install drivers. So where did that thing go? Is it here? No. Video. I'll tell you what. So now that the drivers are installed, I think, let's go ahead and restart. That is what I was trying to get to, but oh well, we'll see if it pops up again. It doesn't take long to boot either, and keep in mind this is an older iMac host machine, and oh, there we go. So the driver install does appear to have worked, and it appears to have worked beautifully, because now we're full screen, which means I can probably, I'm also hearing some sound come from the speakers as well on boot. So look at that. The VM tools for Linux worked like a charm. So if we go back to install drivers, I wonder if we will see the video card show differently than it did before. Still saying, the SVGA2 adapter is not working, but this is under additional drivers. A one proprietary driver in use. I wonder what. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, we are using the virtualization VirtualBox guest service driver. So this has basically changed from 0 proprietary drivers in use to 1 proprietary driver in use, and that's the VirtualBox driver that we just installed. So that all looks very good. So we'll go back, close this. We've installed updates. We've installed the driver that we need to install. Set a restore point. Sure, let's do that. So this is the time shift app I was talking about. rsync or BTRFS. Let's see what the help here says. Snapshots are created by creating copies of system files using rsync and hard linking unchanged files from previous snapshot. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. You can exclude certain files and directories to save disk space. I like that. That's a really good option to have. So let's click continue or next and see what we get. This VM has a 40 gig partition, so we'll see what happens here. Okay. Oh, not enough disk space. What? So why? Okay. So they're basically saying if you want to if you want to do the full SDA1 disk, then obviously you're not going to have enough space. But if we just want this, which is, you know, here's the 40 gig ext4 partition, there's 34 gigs free, which means we're only using 6 gigs. Then we can select that and use this. It seems like there's something down there that I can't see. Can I resize this window? Can I scroll? What happens if I full screen? Yeah, could we see that before? Other locations are not supported. So a little bit of a problem there, but you know, that's probably just like a resolution or, you know, a scaling problem because I'm using this on such a weird size screen, I'm sure. Okay, so devices displayed have Linux file systems. Devices with Windows file systems are not supported. So that's good to know. If you had an NTFS or FAT file system, this is not going to be able to back that up and basically use the time shift with those. But remote and network locations are not supported. Okay, that's also good to know. So we will click next. And cool. So you can set the how often to run it. So daily, that seems like a good idea. And keep 5 of the last backups. You know, hopefully within 5 days, you would notice that there's been a major problem and you need to go back. Looks like you can just increase that or decrease that pretty easily. We'll do 7 days just for fun. Stop cron emails for scheduled tasks. Okay. Okay, so yeah, if you don't want the cron demon shooting an email, you know, every day that it's run, you can leave this checked. If you do want to check and make sure that it has run, you can turn that off. I'm gonna leave it checked because I don't want to know. Let's see, snapshots are not scheduled at fixed times. A maintenance task runs once every hour and creates snapshots as needed. Boot snapshots are created with a delay of 10 minutes after. Interesting. So you don't go in and say, well, you know, every day at 9 o'clock and at night, you know, take a snapshot. Basically, this is an hourly snapshot is what it looks like, and basically from hour to hour, anything that's changed will be included in your, you know, daily snapshot. That's pretty cool. All right, so I'm just making sure that I'm reading everything here. Snapshots will be created at selected intervals if snapshot disk has enough space greater than a gig. Okay, next. User home directories are excluded by default unless you enable them here. Why would you want your home directory excluded unless the way that this is built and designed, you're not really putting anything in there? No, you are. I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe I'm reading something wrong here, but it seems to me like everything that I put inside of my home directory, if I leave this exclude all, would be not snapshotted or backed up. And maybe they, I don't know. We're going to do include all for that. Root, we don't really need. I don't plan on using the root account. But so we'll do include all. I think that, you know, they're just, I don't know why they would default to exclude all. I don't know. That's a little interesting to me. Other than the fact that, like, you know, if you had several users, you would potentially be snapshotting a lot of data, and so you have to manually turn things on. I think though that I would have liked to have seen, you know, include all, you know, turned on for both, and then turn off the ones that you don't want. But, you know, anyway, so we're going to include all the folders and files inside our home directory. Okay, so it's basically saying that everything is enabled and the snapshots will be created automatically, and the system can be rolled back to a previous date by restoring a snapshot. Restoring the snapshots only replaces system files and settings. Non-hidden files and directories and user home directories will not be touched. What? This behavior can be changed by adding a filter to include these files. Included files will be backed up when snapshot is created. Save snapshots to an external disk. Okay. All right. So they're basically using the time shift as more of a system or operating system backup and restore, not necessarily your files, which, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. So it says we can add a filter to include those files, like our, you know, directories and files inside the home directory, but I think we just did that by turning that on. We'll have to double check that and see. Let's see, settings, filter. Yeah, okay. So cool. That message was a little alarming because we basically in the previous screen had said, you know, make sure to include the home user, and then the next screen is like, by the way, your home directories are not going to be backed up unless you create a filter. But it is included. You see it right here. Users, there it is right there. Schedule. So it's basically everything that we just went through, and you can go back and change them. I'm assuming this is going to be sort of like a history of, you know, when things have run. So we'll hit OK. And why not go ahead and create a snapshot? Yeah, hopefully this doesn't take too long. Very cool though. So when we're tweaking around, you know, messing around with the operating system, if we really screw something up, we can always come back to right now when we've got a fresh install, we've installed the drivers, and you know, done the VirtualBox setup, and basically that's all we've done. So this is pretty cool. This will give me a little peace of mind when you know, down the road, if we're tweaking on things, we can always come back to this point. So while that is doing that, let's go take a look at the control panel. Let's see what's going on in here. I'm not going to change anything right now because the snapshot's being created, but I just want to maybe take a look around and so let's see, appearance. Let's see what we have going on in here. Oh, very cool. Wow, it looks like we have a lot of different options there too. So yeah, I think we'll leave it this one. I like the darker feel. It's a little bit easier on the eyes for sure. If we go to icons, looks like you can choose from lots of different icon sets. Pretty neat. Fonts, change all the fonts and the size, and wow, you can really dive down. Let's see, the toolbar style. Icons. But text under icons. Yeah, we'll just do icons. Show images on buttons, show images on menus. Enable event sounds. Yeah, let's turn that on just for fun. I just said I wasn't going to change anything, and now we have changes, but hopefully those weren't too bad. Okay, so that was the appearance. And let's see what the desktop looks like here. Change wallpaper. That's our current one right now. Looks pretty neat. I just wiggled the mouse around, and it's increasing the size of the mouse. I know that happens in macOS, and that's a pretty cool feature out of the box to be able to shake the mouse and the pointer gets big. Because, you know, especially, you know, instructors or, you know, whatever, sometimes they'll lose the mouse. They're not sure what screen it's on or where it is. And so when you shake the mouse, the pointer gets real big. It's kind of cool. Looks like they, you know, just included some pretty nice backgrounds here. It looks like there's a few different folders of backgrounds to choose from. Obviously, you can, you know, download whatever file you want and use that one. You can change the style here, whether it's zoomed or, you know, stretched, centered, whatever. Very cool. Change the background. That's pretty cool. So we could say, you know, every 2 minutes I want a new background. Let's randomize the order. And I do hear some sound effects coming through while we're selecting these things. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. So yeah, let's randomize the order and change the background every 2 minutes. All right, so let's go back here to menus. Lots of stuff to choose from there. Icons, wow, I mean, it's really customizable. Really customizable. Looks like you can turn on the trash icon, the file system icon, and the home folder icon on the desktop just with the click of a button. Pretty cool. All right, so we'll go back to all settings. You can change the settings for the file manager. Wow. Okay, so it looks like the time sync has, or the time shift has finished, and we have a nice little notification up here that it took 321 seconds to do, and that it saved successfully. So if we go back to the time sync app, it shows right here the date and the time, and we have 27.6 gigs available. So if you wanted to go back after making some changes and restore, oh, you click on the one that you want to go back to and then click restore. Pretty cool. We're not going to do that right now. Let's take a look at the menu, time shift logs. Yep, there it is. Very cool. All right. I have to say, I like that. And there goes our background changing automatically every 2 minutes. Pretty cool, huh? Man, there's just so much stuff, even just with the appearance. It's crazy. I have to say, I'm really liking this. I'm very impressed. And it's putting a little checkbox next to the steps as we complete them, which is pretty cool. Installing language support. Select a light or dark theme. Let's do that. Oh, I see what they're doing there. Yeah. The problem is this is not resizable, is it? Let's do this. Let's see more of this at once because it's sort of cutting off a lot of things. So you saw there, I just selected the dark theme again. I'm not going to bother with the language support right now. And it looks like there's a little cheat sheet here full of keyboard, like shortcut keys, that type of thing. And upgrade to 4.6. I believe we're on 4.6. Okay, so each series of Linux Lite lasts 2 years and is based off of LTS, which continues to provide updates for 5 years. So that's pretty cool. And so that's one thing too, you know, if you were to start using Linux Lite, it's not something that you're going to install straight from their website, and then 6 or 8 months later, it's just an abandoned project that is totally useless and worthless. It's built on Ubuntu, and so you get basically all the features and support of Ubuntu included with this, which is nice. All right, so looks like they've got some software here that you can basically click to install. Let's see. Let's do this. Lite software. Yes, let's go ahead and update the resources. This is basically the equivalent of a apt-get update. Let's see, please select a task. We want to install software. Ooh, okay. Chromium web browser. Let's see how well this works. All right, yes, proceed with the install. Let's see how point and click this really is. So far, so good. I mean, very impressed. And let's see. Installation completed, okay. So let's see what other software we can install. Handbrake, that's interesting. How about OBS? I'm using OBS right now on macOS to capture this, but be cool to see what they could do inside the VM. This will be the, maybe the most popular one, especially if you're coming from Windows and you're worried about what you can run, what Windows apps you can run in Linux. So we'll go ahead and do Wine and see how that works. And I have to say that it's running. Linux Lite is running as a VM, you know, in VirtualBox on an older iMac. So even with that said, you know, the performance and the snappiness of how this is working seems fine. I mean, definitely not going to complain about that. See if we can adjust the sound here. I thought maybe they would play a little note for changing that, but I guess not. But that's okay. One for closing it. VPN connections, add a VPN. That's grayed out. That's a little odd. I would just be interested to know, you know, out of the box, what kind of VPNs does it support? Yeah, let's just check here. Some sort of fake MAC address, obviously, since it's virtualized, but we'll go ahead and quit. Let's check out Wine and see if we can get a list maybe of what Wine will support. Let's see. Run Wine. Let's see. Maybe I have to configure Wine first. Okay. See how see how Windows E this already looks. I mean, you can tell they're really wanting you to get the Windows feel here. So it looks like you can choose what version of Windows, and they do have a Windows 10. That's interesting. Libraries, graphics, desktop integration, blah, blah, blah. Okay, audio. And let's just apply that. And so first of all, let's check on Chromium, see what happens here. Choose the password for new keyring. All right, now we're getting somewhere. No thanks, I don't want to sign in, but I do want to run, let's try Audacity. Let's see if we can run that just for fun. Even though there's a Linux version of it. Let's see, Audacity to installer. No, surely there's got to be something better than Audacity. That's not very fun. There's a Linux version available, so what else could we do? What else could we install? A Windows app. I don't want to do Microsoft Office or anything like that. That's going to take forever. A Windows app. How about Chrome? See if we can install the real version of Google Chrome. It's detecting that I'm running on Windows, or I'm running on Linux. Chrome for Windows. Again, that's sort of a lame one because there's Chrome for Linux. I don't know why. Why is my mind drawing a blank here? Windows software. What could we install? How about I'm just trying to think of something that's readily available that I don't have to try to remember some credentials to log into for the download site. How about what if we did a do a free trial of Microsoft Office? Probably not without signing into a bunch of crap. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't want to sign in. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and skip this for now. Well, that really makes it hard to see over here, but that's all right. The sound is a little bit delayed, but I'm not going to blame that on the operating system. I'm going to blame that on the hardware here. All right. So we also have Firefox. Let's open that up. Let's turn this down a little bit. It's starting to get annoying. It was fun for a while. And it looks like they're using Google on their on their website for the search, which is interesting. And so there's the minimize button. Pretty cool. VLC. Let's just pull up YouTube. See if everything works, or if we have to install a bunch of software and dumb stuff to get it to work. Whoa. Okay. And we'll also see if the sound works automatically.
Right here. The Denny Stones. Yeah. For our final challenge in Scotland, we're going to try and pick up and walk with the legendary Denny Stones.
Awesome. Seems to work fine. Obviously, there's a little bit of stuttering going on, but that's going to be a hardware thing. Not really. That's not going to be because of Linux Lite. That's going to be because of the setup here. But yeah, I mean, that's impressive. Full screen it. Let's see how much damage we can do here. Wow. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. And that was in Firefox. Okay, so let's go back to... What does this thing do? Is that... Okay. Okay. Let's go back here. Let's see what other software is available. I don't know why I clicked yes on that, because I don't have to. I just did it. But we'll wait. It won't take long. Let's see, what else do we have here? Music player. Explorer browser. Let's install the weather monitor. That seems like a lot of fun. Okay. Quit. I'm assuming I could just start typing and it would find it for me, but I'm just looking at everything that is already installed. So like, I just installed a weather thing, but where is it? Browse your virtual C drive. Very cool. Internet Explorer. Wow. Oh, that's so funny. All right, let's see what else we have in here. Windows Media Player, really? Come on. Wow. Really? Is the Windows Media Player going to be the one thing that drops this computer down to its knees is going to be the Windows Media Player? What is happening? Oh, come on. That's a shame. I was really looking forward to that one. Let's see. Notepad. This can't be. Okay, Wine Notepad. I was gonna say this can't be the actual notepad.exe taken from Windows 10 because, I mean, there are laws and, and rules about just, you know, blatantly copying someone else's software. But this is very, I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. It looks exactly the way that it's supposed to. Wow. Wow, indeed. All right, so I still want to know where. I still want to see this Windows Media Player load. Well, I guess that's not going to happen. But that's all right. That is okay. We will continue on. My computer. Bluetooth manager. Firewall. Let's see what the Linux Lite firewall is all about. So they're doing, they're even doing network profiles just like they do in Windows 10. Office, home, and public. Wow. And it looks like you can set individual rules. Log. That's very interesting. I mean, it's not quite exactly the same, obviously. Oops. An uncomplicated way to manage your firewall. Powered by UFW. Easy, simple, nice, and useful. Well, now we know. Now we know. Okay. Looks like you can set up auto login for a specific user. Light desktop. Select the desktop icons you wish to enable or disable. So you can turn on the recycle bin. Or no, checking these turns them off. Recycle bin enable and then recycle bin disable. What? Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Anyway, display 1724 by 1261. Yeah, that's an odd resolution. I don't know. Very cool though. Very cool. Seems like there's a lot of capability here. And so it seems like, you know, unless you have some, you know, Windows only software that you just have to have Windows for, you won't even need Wine. But if you do have some software apps, pretty much, I think you can go to Wine's website. You used to be able to anyway, and it basically would tell you what apps were able to be run under Wine on Linux, and to what extent that they were stable. You know, sometimes they were like, yeah, it'll run, but not for very long before there's a crash, or it'll give you like a progress of, you know, how close they are to actually getting something to work in Wine. So, you know, depending on what your needs are, you may not really need any Windows apps, especially if your company or organization uses Google Apps. You know, a lot of the compatibility is going to be taken out with that, because you have, you know, Firefox or Chrome, you know, whatever you want to use to be able to get into your Google Apps account and then use your stuff from there. And then email, stuff like that. You know, fewer and fewer people, I feel, are actually using a, you know, application installed on their operating system to check their email. I think more and more people are using web-based email, and they're using it on their tablets and their phones, and it's just not the way that it used to be, you know, 10, 15 years ago. So, you know, I do think if you have employees that don't really need to do anything other than browse the web and check a few things every now and then, and you don't want to shell the money out for a Windows license, you know, I do think that this, from what I see, is very usable. But, you know, at the same time, if you are in that boat of everything's in the cloud, you just need a web browser for the most part, you know, that's kind of what a Chromebook is for. And that's kind of what Chrome OS is for. And, you know, so there's an option there to use that if you needed to. But I think this could potentially work for, you know, those situations where you have the hardware, you haven't really paid for a license yet, and you just need someone to be able to have some sort of desktop feel, and you can train them on this. It's not very complicated at all. And a lot of the stuff that, you know, might be complicated, you don't really want them doing anyway, right? It should be locked down, and they shouldn't be, you know, configuring things and changing things and doing updates, that type of thing. But then also just for a sort of breath of fresh air, as far as, you know, doing something different or playing around with another operating system and just seeing what else is out there, you know, I think this is a really good choice. I think this is something that you can have some fun learning, and I think it's something that it seems very well thought out. It doesn't seem like something that's been thrown together or is in beta. This seems like a mature project that has a lot of resources being thrown into it. That's just what I see. All right. So again, this is all just my opinion, and your mileage may vary. Your opinion might be different. You may hate this operating system. You may really love this operating system. I don't know. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. And, maybe we'll do some more on Linux Lite. Like we'll maybe check into, can this join any type of authentication server, like, an Active Directory server or a Samba or LDAP server to provide user authentication. That'd be really cool if it could. And, maybe we'll boot up the old Samba Active Directory server if it can, and we'll try to connect to it and just see what happens. But anyway, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching.